Louis versus Dumu time. Japan up against the HRE. You know how to check in on this one. Vlad the Sad. Let's see if Benny Boy's going to be sad after this. Seems he's sad losing the HRE, so he's chosen to become that which he most hates. And we're going to be doing this on Gorgeable maps. Now, there are not many players that I would trust to get a win with Japan, especially against HRE. But this boy is one of them. Anyone who's been watching Louis recently understands why. This guy has some wild builds on Japan, some intriguing feudal-focused builds, as well as some weird, out there fast castle builds involving certain monks you normally wouldn't see. Now, I don't expect that to be this type of game. I actually think this one's probably going to be quite feudal-focused, where it's going to be Dumu trying to drag him into it and Louis trying to stay out of it. And Louis might have an easy time doing that, actually, considering the gold location. Back spawn gold here means that he should be able to quite easily outpost this up, and then that should lock us into a fast castle build on both sides. Sheep gathering is currently sitting at 10-6. So really good start for Louis. Yeah, I've noticed he does this a lot, by the way. Anyone who's watched a decent amount of my replays have noticed it as well. Louis, more frequent than any other player I've seen, likes to go through the center of the map and circle around to gather sheep. The logic being is usually, I think most maps have a tendency to spawn 2 to 3 sheep near a sacred site. And I think that's what he's leaning towards, is grabbing the sacred site sheep and then darting across. And the logic is that at this point, he can see if his opponent's on the east side. And if he is, he goes west. If not, then he sticks east side and does the full circle, right? It's kind of a cool iteration, considering most players right now gamba sometimes and just dart to one side and then sometimes have to pivot on the way. Instead, he's just circling in, so he's already half invested, but can always dart out before he's stuck. Berry gathering on the way already, so we've got Tawara in. I actually am quite convinced that this might be the best way to just approach Japan. Tawara straight onto berries just feels a lot better. And the reason it feels better is because look how long Louis has been running for, and look how often he's come back. He's yet to go home yet. This is a full circle before he goes home. And the reason he's able to do that is because he prioritized Tawara, which gave him a better gathering rate than gathering from sheep already. Spimmin coming in from Vlad the Sad, though. So Dumu did get a bit cheeky. We didn't mention that yet, but he did go for an early Rax drop. That is going to force Louis to commit to feudal. So right now, game actually looks really good for Dumu. His goal here is to get feudal participation, because his feudal participation is vastly superior to the Japanese early on. If you're talking 20 minutes deep in a feudal timing, then Japan can start to look good. The problem is, by the time you get 20 minutes into a feudal timing, you're quite battered and bruised because of what HRE have done. HRE, by comparison, immediately surged at the beginning of feudal now, especially ever since the marching drills buff. Like, you have to think of HRE and land now a little bit like how they've been treated on water historically, where the first 15 minutes of their water presence in feudal is dominant due to that gathering speed buff. Until the Archon is out of range of the gathering, it's a very hard civ to contest. Speaking of which, Archon is on the way, and it's going to be in the berries. So berry plus woodline here means that we are definitely going to see some presence in feudal out of Dumu, which I would expect. Like, he's ticked the first box, right? Like, the entire reason you make this play is because you want to keep feudal. Kura Storehouse is coming out from Louis. This is pretty standard. There would be no point in Shinobi here. I actually think this is one of the worst matchups to build Shinobi into. The problem with building Shinobi here is if the HRE are going to open archers, which they always should, then marching drills keeps them out of range, so you can never get any good melee value. Instead, you're just burning expensive ninja units and losing out on free farms. You can't imagine HRE and feudal at 20 minutes? Well, clearly you need to visit my YouTube channel, because there's plenty of games there right now where that happens. Gold gathering sneak out from Louis, though, so we might still be looking at a fast castle build. Oh, that is sly. And Dumu didn't check it. He doesn't know about it. He also has limited sheep, 16 sheep on one side and only 8 on the other. That's the other issue with this spin play, right? Is like he stops at 2, so he doesn't have a blocker on the berries. So if you think about it, with Louis sneaking out on the gold like this, he hasn't been hurt. Sure, there's a bit of idle time in there, but compared to the investment of Rax plus 2 spears, I don't think it's drastic enough to really sting him. Outpost also coming out to guarantee he can hang out here. He did send out a perfect 5. I think this is just going to be fast castle from Louis. I'd be very surprised if he wants to be present in the Sage. Speaking of which, the Age has arrived. Spinman upgrade coming straight away. And Will Barrett also on the way. So Dumu, I think he knows he's going to have to play flank resources to try and contest here. right? Because if he's looking to be all in a feudal, you don't really want to have to just rush farms because that makes your feudal attack time here weaker. I'm wondering if he's going to scout out the detail on the left, though. He is now rotating down. So by the time he sees this, it's probably going to be, what, 2 archery ranges deep? Or an archery range and racks extra deep? That's pretty expensive. Because then if you have to pivot to rush Castle Age, you're just going to be behind. So he's going to have to find some pressure. You think Shinobi sabotage on church should force relics out of buildings? Please stop. Okay, how about this, guys? This is going to be wild. I got an idea. We buff Mongols. Whoa, hold on. What do you mean, KP? How are we buffing them? They can garrison enemy buildings, and it pushes... No, it doesn't push them out. It fights them. Do you guys remember that? Did anyone play Art of War? Art of War used to have that, where you could... I think, actually, CNC Generals had it as well, where you could garrison enemy buildings, and your units would fight inside to clear the building. Wouldn't be surprised if a Civ eventually gets something like that. It's quite a cool idea. Active aggression? Yes. Active aggression. Wait, did I say Art of War? Yeah, sorry, active aggression. Banger of a game. Had so much fun with that game. Sadly, you can't actually play it on modern systems. I don't know if you guys knew that, but if you try to play active aggression on modern systems now, unless you cripple your RAM, it freaks out. Pull coming in. No freak out over here. Quick reactions out of Louis. Well, it may have never took off, but you guys know active aggression like led that studio into big things, right? Because they've got a huge amount of games out these days. They went on to Ruse, then they moved on to Division. I think it's the more recent one, but they had, I've forgotten the name of it, the Modern War game. It's very popular. Apple's going up. Louis is going to secure the gold at home. So he has options now. This is really smart, right? Like, because the reality is, with the way you have to play this, you don't want to spam spears, you have to spam archers, or you have to tech up. So Louis has a great read, and just look at what's happening. This game's looking pretty good, actually, right now for the Japanese. I don't feel like Dimu got enough of it here. And also, on top of that, he's already on berries. He's running out of food fast. Other side of this, we're talking about 17 sheep still to work with, and 3 farms getting added in. So, now that we're moving towards Castle, who does this favor? It's a pretty decent game for the Japanese due to the surge point at the beginning of this age up. This is a game where Dimu hasn't blobbed 20, 30, 40 military units before teching up. He's going to try to go into Rax units, so we're probably looking at mass spears. The issue with this is if Louis now just goes Onobugisha, he has your number. So what's really important right now is that Louis scouts. He needs to move across, he needs to sense what's coming. Because if he thinks that it's going to be mounted knights, then he just goes mounted samurai and he wins. However, if he expects mass infantry, then simply spamming Rax is the solution, right? Because you get Onobugisha, and then you can follow up with Odachi Samurai. Ancient Wars had that with naval combat too. Oh, wait, are you thinking of the game where you could, like, take over a hero? That game, sadly, was a complete flop because they kicked the original devs off halfway through. It was a RTS game where you could basically go down to third person and play as, like, Alexander the Great kicking everyone's ass. But sadly, like, I think a third of the way or something like that through development, they booted the original big brains off the project to save money. Because originally it was made by the people who made Empire Earth, if I remember correctly. Well, Empire 2? No, I think it was the original Empire Earth. Damn. So many potentially great RTSs lost to greed. Tech up complete first for Dimu here, though. Second Prolog already out. Third being produced. This is really good, actually. Okay, so I'm a little bit surprised. Louis took a much slower approach to this, and it's costing him dearly. I'm surprised he had this many people prioritizing gold when he still had 5 out on the flank. Maybe he was worried about getting outed up there, but also the other added detail, the fortification hurt him here. Fortifying on that secondary outpost, I think, really set him back a bit here. So now he has this awkward situation where he's likely to end up 3 versus 2 relics, if not worse. Mount Samurai's going to be the play then. Ooh, this is tough. So if there is one Civ I'd back to deal with Mount Samurai by spamming spears, I think this might be the one. The problem you have here is marching drills. It allows him to gap close really quickly. He already set up double racks as well, right? Like, he could go up to triple when he sees this, and triple is going to be good enough because at that stage, you are eclipsing the production rate of a Yorishiro stables. You have the economy to back it. So Louis needs to raid, is what we're getting at here. He needs to raid fast. Makes sense why he'd go for the Mount Samurai when you realize the tech timing there, right? Like, I actually think Demu rushing his tech timing there forced this reaction. Because if Louis went anything else, he wouldn't have been quick enough. He still might not be. First relic already home. Second one almost there. Spearmen are actually going to invite the Mountain Samurai in. I mean, at this point, the relic is fairly safe, though, right? The Mountain Samurai can't hang around with this many spearmen nearby, especially with the marching drills. So when these guys charge, they move quicker than cav units. Louis just looking for idle time. First relic being grabbed for him, but 2 relics extra now on the way home. Gee, dude, this is the 4-1 split. I mean, that's pretty much a GG state for the Japanese. They have no backup play if they fail on relics, right? Like, Surge Point isn't going to be strong enough here. Yeah, I think we're on course for a beatdown here, folks. So, interesting discussion point in chat about like CNC and you being able to convert enemy buildings by engineering them and build their units. You can kind of do that in AoE 4, but it's weirdly hidden because it's not a default mechanic. But there was a mod made by, I believe it was Adney made it, the Vampire mod, where you could get enemy villagers, and those enemy villagers would build their structures. And you would even have to get like blacksmith techs twice over to get the effect on those units. So yeah, that does exist. Bugattis switch up coming in from Louis, so exactly what we expected to see. The question mark is whether it's going to be good enough, fast enough here. I mean, now that Demu's in this, his most logical unit would probably be to go into Samurai here? Men-at-arms, rather? Lance deck also works really well. I actually like the idea of a few Lance, because he's going to have 4 relics in this game, right? Or should have 4 relics. He's in a good position to grab this one. How does Louis claw his way into this? I think a second TC is going to be almost imperative at this point. He's got some stone gathering going on via the gold, right? So he's actually gradually getting to that point. He could go for a second TC drop probably down here and then connect this area with farms. Especially if you want to spam Bugattis like this. It's not a cheap unit to flood. It might seem at 80 a cost, but when you consider how many of them get burned. Demu, weirdly enough, continues to invest in crossbows, though, which gives Louis a chance to take this. Yeah, a little bit shocked by that detail. We might be looking at a transition, though, right? Like, farm count is looking pretty good. Demu just added a lot of these in. I don't think you want to go horseman. Knights feels a little bit too slow to get towards. I think this is just going to be a men-at-arms switch. Which should lead Louis to the next step, which is after he sees men-at-arms, switch samurai, and then use the Bugattis to raid. Because you're reaching a point in the game where Demu can't sit in his base, right? Like, gold is already under 2k at home. Woodline is getting pretty thin, so that means you're not right near the TC, so you can raid back here with Bugattis. On top of that, like, he might try to rely wholly on farms, but that's going to put more pressure on the woodline, which is going to force it further away from safety. So really, what you're looking for Louis is to use these areas here to flank in unseen. But now, though, Demu doing a good job of just keeping him in his base. It's very dangerous what Demu is doing, though, right? Like, cannot emphasize this enough. Right now, these Bugattis, borderline ready to just take down this entire army. They just need their upgrade. In fact, with this upgrade coming through, he should look to jump this. Probably the best time for him to fight. Marching drills is a bit of a pain in the ass, but crossbows are not going to be quick enough to back away from this. How are you feeling about this matchup? I think this matchup can be pretty good for the HRE. Because of what they just tried on the Feudal Age, right? Like, I think Louis finessed this really well. The problem right now is HRE are not predictable anymore, and Japan are. Like, Japan has taken on the role of old HRE. All they want to do is fast castle. Fudesashi now coming in from Japan. Good gathering rate on the way once that's through. Daimyo is only at level 1, remember. However, this does mean we've now got the Bannerman aura, and this is big. If he can find the fight. Let's corral him in. Mount Samurai, meanwhile, in the base. Oh, no! He doesn't actually have the spears here. Only men-at-arms. So several villagers going down. And now the army's going to get caught. Bugattis going for the clap. Bannerman's coming in range as well. Wait, Bannerman? No. The Bannerman is not coming in range. He got stuck with the Shintos. But even without that, look how quickly he mops this up. Wow, that is an expensive army. Domu loses it all, gets distracted by the two raiders, and pays the price. Louis now in prime position. Sure, it's 3 relics of the HRE. They're grabbing the sacred sites as well, but we're talking about an 11 eco lead. We're talking about raiders still coming in from these mounted samurai, and we're talking about Masa Onagigisha, which are quite simply uncounted here. It's crazy to think just how much quicker of a mop-up that would have been if the Bannerman was there straight away, but apparently he was busy flirting with the Shinto priest. Just all the Shintos walk over like, oh my god, your armor is just so golden. It's like, thank you, thank you, thank you. You want to see how golden everything can be? Walks in and shines everything bright like an exterminatus. And it seems appropriate because we are on to an explosive fight here. Dumu's one hope of holding on. Lance Nectar. Misposition them and it's all over. Ladies with the torches out. Bugattis moving in for the burn. No chance that he repairs that. Villagers also on the front line now, so they're going to get clapped down. Meanwhile, backline also getting stabbed. How has Louis done this so cleanly? This game looked shaky, right? Dumu looked in a prime position. But Louis bided his time and struck with such ferocity when it mattered most. Crossbow mass in the choke point to try and hold on, but I just don't know if there's much holding on to be done here. Lance net count down to 2, and there's simply too many ladies out on the night. Woo-wee! Dumu's like, I'm a gamer. I spend all day in basements. I've never seen this many girls in my life. What do I do? You lose. 34 Bugisha partying in the base of the HRE. Dumu now behind by 24 economy, and that is a firm GG.